This video I'll be comparing two master cylinders for the Rambler American as well as a master cylinder rebuild kit. And I start off by going to the manual. As you can see, it's an original manual, 63, Rambler American 1963. And over here on brakes and wheels, gives me a diagram of the master cylinder as well as a picture of what it looks like. It is, as you can see, it's a rectangular design, and which is different than what was on the car, which is this rounded design here. Now, it's unfortunate and it's a bit disappointing that they don't give part numbers for the master cylinder. They do give part numbers for other things such as the alternator, generator. They actually give like 3 different part numbers, 3 different alternators and 3 different generators, and I think 2 different voltage regulators. They all give part numbers for those, and for other things they don't list part numbers for some reason. But I suspect that all, or most, not all, but most master cylinders are interchangeable. I suspect that, but I'm going to talk about that in the next video. But the first thing that I'd like to say is that most master cylinders are 1 inch, have a 1 inch diameter in the bore, which is this, which is the cylinder here. And here's a small description of master cylinder. And first thing to note, safety-wise, that you have to keep mineral oils, gasoline, kerosene away from the rubber parts because they soften, swell, distort, resulting in failure. And that's actually true. I actually put a rubber, can't remember if it was a rubber cup, a few rubber parts from an old wheel cylinder that I had, and I put in a jar of diesel, and it did swell up within, I think it was within 2 hours or so. It doubled its size and became soft, so you don't want that. Now, this part here is really important, I think is really important. Let's wait for the phone to zoom in. So the master cylinder used on cars not equipped with power brake units is identical in operation and construction to the master cylinder used with power brake, with the exception of the primary and secondary piston, the push rod, and the front seal. So I don't know, it doesn't say which type master cylinder this is, but it's interesting to note that they are exactly the same construction. So, you know, with the exception of these parts here. So if you have a car equipped with power brakes, you should have no problem putting, swapping out, let's say you want the rebuild kit, you should have no problem swapping them out. That shouldn't be a problem. Now, I'm not so sure as swapping out the entire master cylinder. Now, since everything is the same, I haven't really tried using, I don't know what the difference is within, you know, master with power brakes or manual brakes. I don't think there is a problem with putting manual brakes on a power brake unit, but I think the other way around is not a good idea. If you drive modern cars, you'll notice that once there must be some difference in construction that makes a difference, because when the engine is not running and you press the brakes, they become much harder. And I'm going to say even much harder than compared to if it was just manual brakes, normal manual brakes, you know what I mean? But that's a topic for another video. But yeah, so this, I think we can go to the actual comparison now. So one thing I also found that's important, before I forget, that's important, and that I haven't seen mentioned anywhere on the internet, is this part here. This rubber cup here. And as you can see on the diagram here, it's actually just a gasket, and it's got holes in the middle. Now the one on this unit here, it's actually got these cups, and I'm not really sure what these do. I think it sort of, creates a vacuum, or I'm not exactly sure. I know that this was facing, this went on like that. Sorry, like that. That's how I found it. Now, this is not a new unit, so it might have been tampered with. So I don't assume anything. This may or may not be the correct way that goes in. Now on this rounded unit, that's what I call it, it actually says here fluid side. Now again, this rubber here, I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's supposed to be that long. The thing is that this takes up a lot of space when it faces down. It actually goes into the unit like that, and it takes up a lot of space here. So you can only half fill this with oil or brake fluid, DOT3 fluid, if this goes in like that. Now, it doesn't really make sense, even though this says fluid side. I think that this part here actually used to go in. See how it opens up there? It widens, so I think that this actually used to go inside, like, it's hard to explain. It used to go like that sort of thing, almost like this one. So you see this one, I can actually push it out. Like that, you see? And I think this, but it's not really like that. That's the wrong way, you see? And I think this is what happened to this one. So I think this is supposed to go into itself like that. That's what I think. So this way, it takes too much space, and so you can only half fill the reservoir with oil, which is not good. So that's what I think, anyways. And now I have to say that with these cars, it's not like today. This garbage that they make now, you can only use one part for that car, for that model, for that year. Back then, hundreds of different cars used to use the same part, and they used to interchange quite freely. So that's why you have like 2 and 3 different parts for the generator. And besides, the generator, as I said on the generator video, you can use any generator from any car. I don't even know why they bother putting part numbers in. I actually have a GM generator on my Rambler. As long as it outputs, the right voltage, that's what matters. The mounting bracket might be different, but you can easily make one, or most of them interchange anyways. So I suspect that that's the same thing with these brakes. But anyways, as you can, so maybe the manual, maybe this was a different model that came factory. So from what I understand, consider the distributor, for example. There's an AC Delco distributor, and there's a Autolite distributor. So I'm thinking that, some cars came from the factory with the AC Delco unit, and other cars came with the Autolite unit. But of course, 60 years later, we don't really realize that. So I think here is the same thing. The distributor, they only show one distributor. They give you the part number for the other one, but I think only one picture. So here's probably the same thing. Some cars came with this rounded version, and some came with this rectangular version. I like this rectangular version better because it has a few advantages. So first of all, it's got thicker flanges, as you can see. So that's points I like that already. That's already. And as you can see, the overall unit is a bit thicker. It has some writings on it, so it says rear. That's really nice. That's very thoughtful of them, right? Um, it does seem to allow more fluid in, which is another improvement. And the cap is actually bolted on. So on this unit, it uses this what can I call this? This rod here. It's just pressure on there. And what tends to happen is, it tends to rust here over time. Well, surprisingly, this is 6 years old, more than that, and it's fine. But I've seen some units where this rusts out, and you can take this off by hand. I guess that's this advantage over this one. This one you actually need a wrench. Let's say you have a car problem, a brake problem. You have to refill the unit with fluid, and with this one you can't really open it unless you have a wrench. This one you can just open it by hand. So there's disadvantages and advantages, right? But I think I like this one better still. Well, this one actually has part numbers on the lid, which are difficult to see. So I'm not going to take up your time trying to read that. 3173265. Top one is 3149466, 3122, 161 at the bottom. So there's 3 different part numbers there. So I guess I ended up giving it a part number. Alright, so second difference, as you can see, between this rubber part here, that on that one, it's got these cups. On the one on the manual, it's just got holes on it. There's no... So that again tells me that it shouldn't make a difference, shouldn't matter. And finally, for probably the most important part, is the internals. And this one goes there. I've made it really organized here. And this one goes here. And as you can see, they are identical. That's the primary cup. That's the secondary cup. Everything is the same. There's some slight differences there. One other difference that I noticed is that this one, on this rectangular version, it has 3 holes, and 3 holes on each piston. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes in each piston. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not exactly sure what difference that makes, but everything else is the same. One important difference that I noticed is in the material. This one is actually copper. And that one, this end part here is steel. So this one would rust, this one wouldn't. Somebody has tampered with this one because, as you can see, the end of it is all corroded. And so that tells me that somebody played around with that. And this one is just nice and round, as you can see there. Both pistons are actually made of aluminum, which is not ideal. It's standard, but not ideal. I'd much rather they be made of stainless steel or brass. I'm yet to find that. But again, they're all the same. I have no idea. Again, these units are used units. This one I actually got from that barn. Very good price from my friend. The guy really helped me out at the barn. That barn full of AMC parts. That's where I got this one from. And I think the guy told me that it was on an Ambassador, if I'm not mistaken. With manual brakes. Again, I'm not 100% certain. And finally, so I think that pretty much covers the differences, slight differences between them. Yes, I think that does it. But again, these are both the same. The length of them is the same length as you can see, so they're completely 100% interchangeable. And I think that applies again. I think that applies to many master cylinders, but that's for another video. And finally, I happened to find a brake master cylinder rebuild kit by this company here, EIS. I've never heard of it. But down there it says it's a division of Standard Motor Products. Right, and that's a part number there, M7245, M7245. I did a quick search on Google for these part numbers, and nothing. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Underneath, as you can see, this is a Bendix unit. Come on, zoom in. There you go. I had to put it on autofocus. And apparently that looks like an 8, so it looks like 81, 79, 74. I've seen a guy asking about the 61, 79, 74. And again, I tried that. That could look possibly be a 3. I tried all 3 variations without any luck. I didn't try these part numbers. I tried this part number as well, and nothing. But I've heard of universal rebuild kits for for different bore sizes. So like I said, most cylinders are 1 inch. There are thousands of master cylinders with 1 inch bore. The internals on these things is the same to this day. There are some cars with diagonal brake systems, and that's different. But most cars to this day still use the same concept. So any cylinder with 1 inch bore should interchange. So that's how that goes there. So again, there should be universal. I should be able to use any rebuild kit for pretty much any master cylinder. So that's what I'm always saying. You don't need, many times, if not most of the time, you don't need part numbers. You don't need part numbers because most parts interchange. So you don't need, forget about part numbers for generators. That I can tell you with 100% certainty. You just type in, if you're searching for parts, you just type in 12-volt generator. That's it. For these cars, I'm pretty sure that any cylinder interchanges, but I know I keep saying that, but I should leave that for the next video, but I'll shut up now. And as you can see, the rebuild kit, it's a new old stock. Again, it interchanges. It's just the same thing. It comes with this pink color. I don't know why, but at least it's nice that they paint it. That's really good. Stops corrosion. So I will rebuild. You see, it has this one has this sort of greenish brass color here. I don't know if that's some sort of plating. I think it's a type of plating. Oh, there's a little screw down there. I hadn't realized that. You could also actually just change the seals themselves. So on the rebuild kit comes with the springs and the pistons themselves. But as you can see, the pistons are fine in all these units. So you could even, if you really want to save some money, or if it's a rare master cylinder, then you could just replace these cups here. I just happened to buy this for a very reasonable price from that barn, and that's what I'm going to use. The kit also comes with these brass inserts. And these, I don't know exactly what does the manual actually call these things. I'm not sure. Check valves. Okay, so it's actually, this is part of the check valve. That's this little brass thing, and that goes in the ends there, on the ends. It comes with the self-tapping screws, as well as a little rubber there. These are fine, so I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to change them. It comes with a snap ring for the end, as well as this clip here that goes on the push rod. And this is a push rod here. Also comes with a push rod boot. Again, this boot is fine, so I'm just going to leave it. So I'm literally just going to put this in to the master cylinder. You have to pre-lubricate it though. That's very important. So yeah, not much else to say, I guess. This little piece here, it's called a stop, this little screw-like thing with the hole went underneath here. And on this one, I have the brake switch. So I think you remove the stop here, you thread the brake switch in there. What else? I think that pretty much covers it. So if you've got a Rambler American or Rambler or a Classic, Rambler Classic or a Ambassador, this video should hopefully guide you and show you some important differences, similarities, and guide you in the right direction. I did make some measurements. By the way, the holes, the difference from the mounting bolts is the same. Again, it's the same. It's exactly the same on these cylinders and from various different cylinders, as a matter of fact. So, the bores are the same. One very important thing to check is to check for rust inside the bore. So you just run your finger inside there like that, and you have to make sure that that's smooth. On this one, there's a bit of rust there, and if it's not smooth, you can get a little hone, which is a thing that with stones that you put it on a drill, then it turns around. Look it up. Cylinder hone or master brake cylinder hone, something like that, different names. Then you can smooth that out. Since this one is already smooth, I'm just going to go ahead and rebuild this one that was already on there. And then while that's on there, I'll maybe rebuild this one and paint it and make it look really nice. And some other time I'll swap that one out. But I actually have too many master cylinders now, so I'm sort of unsure which one I will use. But I think I'm just going to go with this one here. I also have to make sure that those little holes are not clogged, especially the tiny ones, which are the, I think they're called proportioning holes. So I'm going to poke a paper clip or a needle, something like that, through that hole. Make sure it's clean and that oil is free to go inside there. Same for this one here. This one has even smaller holes there. There's a bit of rust, surface rust, but again, nothing that we can't fix. So hope this helps.